How many of you have dated outside of your race? How many of you would be willing to date outside of your race? How many of you are not willing to date outside of your race? Okay. All right. Well, Serena Williams, Eve, Rihanna have all found love across the racial divide. More and more black women, of course, seem to be willing to follow in their footsteps.
Welcome. This is the Simply King podcast. This is your boy Rodney Perry, King himself, and you just tuned into the Soulfully Conscious podcast for humans, simply being humans. And today is a special one. Yes, I have a returning guest. Very, very long time away. She featured on my podcast called She Knew Nothing, titled after her own podcast. And I'm so glad that she's back talking about deep shit yet again. You're gonna love it. I have with me today, everybody clap your hands, turn up your earbuds, turn up your speakers for my guest today, Aishat Oduola-Owoo. How you doing, girl?
I'm good.
I did good. I was making sure I got that name right, girl.
Look.
Come on now, because I am a firm believer in people saying people's names right. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even a person who had that type of plight. My name is very, you know what I'm saying, European as hell. It's two first names. It's real easy. You know at least two writings in your lifetime, so you done said it at least once before. And it's simple. You feel me? So, but everyone else around me has had that type of story, and I've always had some empathy for that. I was like, damn, that's fucked up. Like, people do need to say your name right. We don't need to just make up nicknames.
I'm telling you, cold sweats when you don't see your natural teacher and the substitute comes in. Nah. I'm here. You have that conversation with her before she even take roll. You see that last name? That's me. I'm here.
Yes. But podcaster as well as creative in her own right. I'm so glad that you're back with us here at the Simply King podcast, the Soulfully Conscious podcast for humans, simply being humans. So thank you all for everyone's for listening, for all that you do in terms of following, commenting, sharing, reviewing. Keep on subscribing, listen everywhere podcasts are available. I appreciate y'all. But let's jump right into this. Let's get right into the shits, right? Let's start with the Twitter check-in. Right? Now, my Twitter check-in is essentially my kind of consistent pop culture segment. I love Twitter. Twitter has grown. I've grown an affinity for Twitter for the past 2 years because I feel like I understand it a lot more now. Okay, and it's always shit happening on Twitter. I literally have seen millions of things go viral live in my hands. You know what I'm saying? And it's a trip. But one thing specifically that I think is interesting, that I think is on brand with the conversation that we're going to have this evening, and that is essentially a clip came from, I believe it was a Keeping Up from the Kardashians clip, which I believe the show is probably shot in clips because I don't think I've ever seen a full episode. I think it's just like this next week, you know, on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I feel like that's literally the whole show.
Right.
Literally, there was a clip that got out, I guess, promoting the show, whatever, that was essentially Kanye and Kim looking like they're probably getting ready for something, some type of event or something. And Kanye comes at Kim saying, you know, I feel a way about, you know, you posting and dressing, you know, in these tight clothes and these sexy clothes, you know, and all these different things. Mind you, this is Kim Kardashian.
Kardashian West.
With Kanye West. I'm not talking about two random celebrities that you guys have never heard of. I'm talking about the two people that you've heard of and have been forced into your life for the past, you know, decade. Or at least one of them been forced in your life. One of them you probably welcomed, you know?
Right. At some
up
point.
until recent days. So,
Right.
what I want to ask you is, have you seen this clip and tell me what you think about? Because I think the dynamics of him feeling a way about it. Because she obviously, I think it's. I don't like complimenting the Kardashians, but I think she responded in the way that I think a lot of people would respond. Just because it's like, really, Kanye? And she pointed out
Of all things, of all people.
for all things, all people. She was like, "You made me into this. Like you created this space for me to step into this in the best way. If you know anything, you know this man. And also, if you were keeping up with the Kardashians, you would know that this woman was fairly, on the low scales of stylish."
Right.
She wasn't as couture as she is now. She wasn't as, daring and breaking necks as she is now. She got with Kanye.
Right.
He definitely upgraded that closet. I think it was a
Right.
thing. I didn't watch it, but I heard that he got rid of all her clothes and got her new ones.
Right.
And certainly supported every single thing. He literally had her on a damn bicycle, butt ass naked in a whole video. You feel me?
Look.
Not just shit she doing on her own, but his shit. I need you butt
But
naked
see,
with me, babe.
He was a curator and art director for too many of her shoots. I mean, he
Look at
emboldened her.
Emboldened.
And I think, and yes, and he emboldened her. I think there was there's major support in it. There was major push to it.
Yep.
And so for him to actually kind of go back and say, well, I'm not gonna hold you. It low key borderlines emotional abuse and mental abuse in a sense. And the reason why I say that is because you build someone up to tear them down with deciding things for them and insinuating that this is something that I don't like anymore or I don't like that you do it, even though you're the same person who built her up, even though she has her own history, but like you said, she wasn't. She may have had a history, but that doesn't mean her personality, the personality that we are now seeing, and that not only for her, you created a personality for her family.
Yeah.
To feel emboldened as well.
Validated everybody, kinda. Like
everybody, he influenced everybody.
He was really the most legitimate person to kind of like come into the fold. Like everybody else would really like, B list or C list in levels of like, we obviously are people who are reality stars. That's the way people see us. And the people that we associate ourselves with are the quote unquote stars or celebrities that are known for other things in terms of their friends and associates and all these different things. And the men that they brought around them were usually the people who had some sense of talent or what have you. And Kanye genuinely was the one who not only did he have a lot of black people on his side, but he just had the world on his side. So it brought so much legitimacy into that whole family, especially him being with Kim. You know what I'm saying? Like I think if he was with Chloe, this would be a whole different story. I think if he was with Courtney, this would be a whole different story. And I don't think it would be that big of a thing. But him being with the one who done it all, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
The one Ray J was with, you feel me? It made it into a thing, But I would love to know. I like that you said it was like, emotional abuse, because I think we're in an age now where we don't want to call certain spades. We've developed certain vocabulary. We've grown to a certain point to where we can now articulate the difference and the nuance in being a black woman who also is Southern, being a black woman who's also Southern, religious, gay, so on and so forth. Like we can create this nuance to tell a story or to talk about the experience of a person, but we get squeamish. And when it comes to our
favorite celebrity,
and especially when we get squeamish when it comes to celebrities, we always there's this tendency, we play back and forth a lot in terms of trying to identify the humanity in these people, but also take away the humanity in them because of the pedestal that they're on. And I believe that's, by process of what the, just the elements of the world. I think we should never give people too damn much. but we also should call shit us like there are so many human things occurring that we can't sit here and be like, well, we don't know their life. We don't. Well, they show us a lot. They show us so much.
But see, this is the thing. This is not just a show. This is an exposure.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not just, oh, I'm showing you this, right? This is not like a showing, a telling of the, no. This is exposure, meaning even if I did not want to see, I am going to see.
Yeah.
This is not this regular celebrities that we're talking about. We are talking about one of the most richest people that we see, producing wise credits and whatever. Yeah. They make sure and navigate what we see is in every screen, on every screen.
Yeah.
So it's not, and this is not just some like, oh, we like them because of whatever. This is a very calculated situation.
Very.
All right, checks are being divvied up when they are mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's not, and so when we talk about these small, like, oh, you know, he said something and this whatever, mind you, him being able to say certain things about emboldening his wife and making her feel safe enough to do those things, because it was a safe house for, even if it was just for her, because of who he is and him saying it, other people, other men were able to open up their mindset to have that thought process and embolden other women to feel safe and whatnot to do what they want to do too.
Hell yeah.
And it's and then now that backpedal, that cute, sweet backpedal that Kanye loves to do, that he thinks is small, but it's actually a magnanimous move, because he doesn't do small, he does extreme.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, oh man, like, okay, so now, and that's why it always goes back to, it doesn't matter what, it can't matter what someone else tells you is safe or not safe to do. You got to do what you feel is safe and not safe for you to do.
Period.
Because there's always going to be someone who changes their mind.
Period.
And if you're focusing on catering to the opinion and the thought process of another person, you are failing to reach the opportunity and freedom to think for yourself. And that's one thing Kanye, I do not feel like he does all the time. I do not believe he has an original thought. I think he recycles other thoughts and then tries to fine-tune it with his idea of what is creative. And it's not creative. It's not new. It's not free.
Nope.
It's manufactured.
Manufactured.
It's actually reproduced and recycled. And for some people, I guess that's cute. That's fun. That's cool. But nah, dog.
But on some, some deep shit, isn't that his talent?
Oh, remix.
His talent is to take things, see something already created, and then put the yay on it, and then represent it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why he tries to try to, call affinity to, or similarities to Steve Jobs, because that's essentially what Steve Jobs didn't invent shit. He just gave you what was already there in a better form. Appleized it, and I think that's what Ye has done. He sees the world in a certain way. Yeah.
Before it used to be, I think a part of it used to, have its level of, even though it was an old remix of something or a used sample of something, there was an original sauce added to it.
Hell yeah.
There is nothing original about what is being done.
Yeah.
I think if anything, I think some of his go-to situations doesn't work anymore. Your knife is dull.
Yep.
Your knife is dull. And I know it's a trusted and valued knife, but it's dull. It's rustic.
Yes.
It's tech.
Yes.
And it needs a revamp, because now you're toiling with certain things. You're Geppetto. And I don't know if Geppetto makes a good father.
Yeah.
I don't know if Geppetto is better being a puppeteer or is he better being a pops. Sometimes people I value the fact that there is a discussion about people changing their mind and evolving, because the reality is that we all need space to evolve and change and actually do those things. But like, coming from someone who's messed up a lot, me, Aisha, who's messed up a lot, one thing that I really hate is when people are taking advantage of the opportunity that they're having when it comes to redemption. Like, you cannot take redemption lightly, because it really affects the pool.
Yes.
It really affects the pool. And for someone who says that they're changing and doing this rapid change or this whatever, like, change is not necessarily always rapid. Like, change sometimes takes time.
Yeah.
And there was nothing that I felt triggered this, like, there was nothing that I felt was like a steady build to this new person that we see now.
Yes.
I think
it was very
these
drastic.
are very, you know, calculated and very, like, this, like, intentional shift to play with my heart, or play, that's what I say with my heart, but it's like to play with the heart of others as well, like, or to play with the minds of others and stuff. Like, I mean, like, it's cool. I'm happy that, because in all things, God's name will always be praised. But it's so interesting how, like, sometimes it's too easy to say, I'm associated with this, therefore I'm going to go ahead and do this, that, and the other, and profit from it as well. Because anybody's saying, I haven't seen someone tell me all the proceeds for these new church services and this, that, and the other is going. When you have a church,
Aisha,
when you have a
said
church, when you have a church and they collecting tithes and whatever, the church should be able, you should be able to see the works that's actually being done. That okay, there's an actual facility that needs to be funded and found and built on. I do not see that. I see maybe opportunities for the people he's singing with, but I don't know if they get a check. I don't know if their lives are being improved by this thing. You know what I'm saying?
Ding, ding.
And that's why I'm just like, look.
Where's the service in the Sunday?
Where's the fruit?
Where's the service in the Sunday service?
Where's the service actually in it? And where does that actually go to? Because so often we look at the seed, and I'm seeing the seed, y'all. We seen the seed, but we expected a different fruit. And that's something I'm once again, you cannot piss on my head and tell me it's raining.
Word.
It's just not going to work for me. I'm not into golden showers. So I think y'all need to go figure it out. Do something different with it. You know, go to the lab, go to the studio, and really, like, go into what's really authentic. Because at the end of the day, no pun intended, Kanye knows how to make good music.
No, you're right.
We know that. But does he know how to, is it fortifying us really? Or is it just a supplement? It's a supplement to us not having to really take his BS.
Yes.
So let me give you this too. This is for me. This is from someone who may not have that much compassion for someone who's pissing on my forehead. I don't know.
Period.
Something about Chicago. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
You're right. And I don't know. I think it's interesting, and I think it's sad because I know that the part that gets me, and we can move on and jump into the main topic, but the part that gets me is just the fact that there are so many men, heterosexual men and homosexual men, who feel validated in the words or this action specifically that started this whole back and forth that me and you just had, as validating them to do this to their partner. You know, like, I don't fuck with that. Like, I see so often on Twitter people saying the dumbest fucking, like, I love how things on Twitter, things on social media, people don't realize that they keep trying to suggest these thought experiments, right?
Right.
They don't even know that that's what they're doing, but that's what they're doing. Set up this situation, how would you react? Half of these situations are already projecting a ism within the whole fucking question. So you saying, you putting this random picture of this woman that you do not know, who's wearing something that you believe to be scantily clad or whatever, and you sit here and attach this possession on her, saying, if this was your girl, this your woman, and she about to go out, what would you do?
What would you do or say? What?
Be like,
What in the patriarchy is going on over here?
text me when you get home. Don't wake me up, babe. Like it should be that simple. Because the fact of the matter is, why would you be with someone and you have this? You should never date someone or try to start some committed anything and then yet want to alter a thing that you met them with. It's very strange. It's a very strange thing to do.
And this is just it's low key. It's a forming of love bombing, which is a narcissistic quality. Like
you say, love what?
Love bombing. Like if you look, shout out to Shan Boodram, and everything. But love bombing is a thing where we like antiquate, like we build up this idealistic like safety net of a relationship, and then the second something you don't like, the second that something you don't think is beautiful or kind or love or whatever, you just start to retreat from them, or you try to say like, this is something I don't really like, and you push it and you push it and you push it until they actually make a change, and they see something wrong, and then this is what makes people crave their company and presence and attention, because it's like it feels like you're telling me what's right for me, but in actuality you're kind of keeping, you're kind of like you're kind of holding away your love a little bit so they can come back to you with more of a I need your opinion. I need to know how you feel about this thing. I need to know how to navigate me and whatever. And this now switches the control of it being a natural situation to now being controlled based on the person who's giving the love and taking the love away, and giving the support and taking the support away, and giving the empowerment and taking the empowerment away. It's what pimps do. That's how they build the bottom bitch. Yes. It's like, okay, let me give you some love. Let me make sure you feel whole and peace and keep it, whatever. And then now when you do something left, I'm gonna show you that I'm colder than you.
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna make sure the very thing that you did to impress me is the very thing that I shame you for. It is a continuum of fuckery. Like, it's just a continuum. And I mean, and I'm not even gonna hold you. I know, I recognize this trait because I also had that trait. I also had that level of just like, okay, I'm gonna give you this, and I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you this, and then it's just give and pull, give and pull, give and pull. And sometimes we are taught. I'm gonna always keep it a bucket because I'm actually trying to do what it means for like actual change. Yeah. So I can't talk about the downfalls and the down pits of another person without acknowledging and expounding on my own.
That's real. That's real. And you know what? I have learned so much about accountability in this year. It's crazy, but the first thing I want to get into with you is that you not only were asked to be a part of the focus group and a part of the audience and the not only audience but participants of owns Black Women Owned the Conversation series that have certainly swept the internet, created and started so many conversations on the internet, on the web, and hopefully within households privately as well, where they were continued after watching these things. But you not only were featured, but you also, there was a sound bite of you. You know what I'm saying?
The first sound you hear, episode 3, okay?
And so it's beautiful to be able to know that that your presence and your energy and all those things were felt enough that, because I'm assuming that a lot of people got the damn mic, and so they probably recorded so many different people's responses to the overall conversation that was happening, and so much that we did not see. Yes,
it's 100 women, and there's only so much time and space for things to happen. I was just blessed because I was a part of the focus group, and then I also participated in the overall experience. Yeah, and so it was. this is what we've talked about, imposter syndrome before, okay? And I definitely suffer from it, you know, and just kind of, I was in awe with so many women because it was just like, yo, like, one, black women together, we just look so beautiful. Like,
It looked like it smelled good in the room.
It smelled like shea butter, joy, and degrees. Like, it just smelled like people they just know what they want. They're empowered, and it's just so, I mean, it was probably one of those experiences that I will never forget for sure.
And it seemed
because
it seemed diverse too.
It was organic. It was organic.
It seemed like a lot of diversity. Like I could walk in there and ask for a mint, condom, tissue. Everybody gonna have whatever I need in their purse with the collective of women in there.
Oh yes. And they'll have butterscotch. And they'll have like you know what I'm saying? They'll just have the things that you need. I'm telling you, it smelled like Fenty and Joy. It just smelled good. It just smelled good. It was nice. And then on top of that, it was just that every woman had a story. Everyone was just, you know, when you think about people articulating their mind and just having even a space for you to, I mean, mind you, like, I know there's a lot of criticisms, but there's also so many great, but one of the criticisms that I did see was the fact that, like, we didn't get to hear everyone's voice and this and the other, and it's like, look, sis, like, I'm telling you, they're trying to make what was a 4 to 5 hour experience into a 1 hour episode, less than an hour episode. Mind you, there was women who were talking, and we were living there. I'm telling you, all the stories. So for them to I applaud them for even getting these things together, because one topic would bounce from another topic to another topic, and it just like, I was surprised. It took me even a second to watch the episode because I was just like, I wasn't even prepared for it. I was prepared, but not prepared for them to put me on there. But it was interesting to see because there was just so many other women who were just like, so, like, their words were so luscious. Like, their explanation was so, like, heartfelt because you could understand and I know that the editors had a hard time.
I bet they did.
I can imagine.
I bet they did.
I can imagine.
And I can only imagine just the, I don't know. I can only imagine what that editing room was like. And I really wish that with things like that, because I think there are so many kind of like meetings and gatherings that occur that there are some usefulness within it. I do believe that there should be that level of where this is what we're going to share with the world, because the world is going to see this. But I do see some importance in it being an experience that the people who in that room had, and I think people see that as exclusivity, while to me, I see it as inspiration to do this with my own group of people for either similar on the similar topic, or to be able to, you know, curate or support something where people are doing that in their own communities. And I think that's a way people can take away from it, and for the things you didn't see. And that's the goal. Keep it going there.
Is to continue, was to continue the conversation. Like, it wasn't supposed to be the end all be all of conversation. Yeah. But I think what it did do, like, you know, Kanye did at one point, was it emboldened people. It made them feel like they could have those conversations, and that there is a platform for them to be heard. Yes. And I mean, it's a big step towards a better direction than we've seen before. But, you know, because the reality is that people want black women to spend their money, but they don't always want us to speak up. And so this was an opportunity to say, no, you not only can you profit, but you can profit from black women speaking up. Yeah. And I think that's something that we didn't always get to, you know, participate in and whatnot. But it's so interesting to see just even then, like, oh man, it's just interesting to see just like we need more black people in production, not just talent. Yes. But in production. Yes. Okay. We need to see more people curating these stories and these opportunities for other people, you know, and for other women, specifically Black women and other Black people in general. Like, we just need to be in every space, you know, because even sometimes those opportunities come, but it's not always either funded or always produced by Black people.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a major thing that I'm just like, this is my first stint with TV or anything like that. So I was just like, oh, this is interesting. And to see just like, there was thousands of, we had to apply.
Damn.
You have to apply for that process.
Really?
You have to write something.
Really?
Yes, and I wasn't even going to do it because my friend, she's already, you know, she gets castings and she gets that opportunity to, you know, have that access. And she just hit me up and she was like, I think this is something that you need to be doing. And on some sister shit, like this is something you need to be doing.
That's beautiful.
And I'm just like, okay, cool. And I thought, you know, once again, imposter syndrome. I was like, I don't know, whatever. But the questions itself was healing. Just the questions that they were asking for us to answer and give our opinion about. I was like, this is healing just to do alone. I just
Your
feel like
episode
people
was
just
love,
be doing
right?
this. Oh yeah, no, yes. My episode was love, and God knows that I thought I was gonna do hair. I was like, oh, they got me on this hair thing. Already about to talk about it. No, because I'm a braider. I'm thinking, okay, cool, I got it.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we want you to speak about love, and I'm just like, well, why you want to go and do that? Lover, like why you wanna go and do that?
But you know what? That's kind of clever in terms of like sociology. Like, it's a cool social decision to make if you gave them all that information, and instead of putting you with the obvious thing, they put you with the thing. Because in my mind, to shake shit up, that would be a beautiful decision to make. Because it's like you have a woman who, with the little knowledge that we have about her, the people whose hair she's probably braiding the most are women as well, Black women specifically. So historically, Black women have forever told their mamas, their girlfriends, and their hairdressers all their business.
Everything. I'm telling you.
So with that being said, this woman not only, and also I think because the person who is the therapist, who is the sounding board for everyone, they always have a story that usually goes untold. They always have more.
I'm a hood therapist.
Yeah, so
I'm the hood therapist. That's just what it is. But we hear about love all the time.
But you have an opinion. That everybody needs to hear. And
I try.
But I do want, before we jump to the next thing, I do want you to speak towards the comment that did make the air, and that was because, like I said, the topic was about love, and they asked him several different questions. And the moderator, I really liked
Carlos
him.
was cool.
I really liked him. He was real cool, real smooth, and I thought that was. I think right now I'm growing an affinity for consuming art that isn't for me. You know. And I say that in a sense of like, I remember, I think it was when Lemonade came out, and it was the Sorry, I think it was like the Sorry video. And honestly, it was the whole damn thing. And there was so many parts in it that I remember my first feelings about it was like, I didn't really feel there was a lot about the male gaze in this. And I'm okay with that, because I'm able to recognize that they didn't think to serve me at all with this artwork. And I'm okay with that, because I still enjoyed it. I still see the value in it. I still appreciate it as much as I would if it was a damn 30-second scene of Beyonce and her all her dancers twerking on screen. Because that's obviously going to serve most men, no matter who you are, where you are, what you believe in. And I think there's been a very consistent publishing of content that is either made by, is like truly like for us, by us, but this is like for women and for Black women specifically. And I think in this instance, I enjoyed seeing this man playing the role of just someone to serve within this. Not because I feel like it's usually the reverse. You always have, if it's this man, very manly, macho type of show, 9 times out of 10, the women within the show are serving in some capacity. They're the DJ. They're the random quote unquote female opinion, and that's all you need to be talking about is talk about the female opinion, or talk about, or just be cute and stand over there, or just bring drinks, or just be a prop in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And I think it was almost a better example and better use of, if we're going to have anybody of who this isn't for in the room, they need to be serving the people in the room in some capacity. And
as a facilitator.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that. I like that. And I think that allows for any biases that may occur to kind of, for you to kind of fail safe any biases that may occur, because you may have some woman that could be there kind of setting these questions up in a specific way, directing these certain things, because she has her own story to tell, and she should be able to be able to speak on that instead of having to hold herself back on the opinions that she has about the things that are there. I thought that was an interesting take, but let's talk about what you said. Now, I can't remember what the question. I think the question was about dating, interracial dating.
Interracial dating, yeah.
Which I have, a million different opinions about as well. More so about the marketing and the advertising of it. I think that's a whole nother episode. But what was,
and a conspiracy theory?
Yeah, but what
wrapped all in one.
Right? What exactly, if you can remember, you don't have to remember it verbatim, obviously, was your statement that made it to air? I believe I remember, but I feel like it comes best from you.
I even for, this is me paraphrasing my own quote, but I said that for me, I just rather not sleep next to anyone that reminds me of oppression. And I think sometimes that opinion alone is always just, we think is naturally just towards white men, but the reality is that anyone who oppresses me as a black woman in this world, I do not want to be sleeping next to.
Period.
So if it's another man, whether he be black or white, if he's oppressing me, I don't want to sleep next to him. But what tends to be the situation, which was also the situation for me, was, for me, I just don't want to do it. And the reason why I don't want to do it is because I've done it before. Yo, I'm not one of those women who's like, oh, I would never. It's just that I have. And I've come to a realization for me that the things that I'm trying to achieve in the skin that I'm in only can be achieved with someone who matches that. Who matches that. And it's no fault of anyone else's. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want people to be able to feel emboldened and free to do whatever works for them. I just happen to know what works for me. What I think is a problem is that the people who say we are most intolerant of other people are probably the most intolerant of other people having an opinion and freedom to do something. Because oftentimes we're kind of shamed and guilty to believe in black love. Like we're like, oh, it's 2019, like, I don't know why you feel like you gotta wait for the black man or wait for him. It's like, I don't know. I don't see it as wait, because I'm not thinking on a scarce mindset. I believe that there is someone for everyone. Yes. I also believe that there is black men in abundance who are not in jail, who are not gay, who are not on the down low. Genuinely, I believe I believe in that because I just don't believe in scarcity. So it's a numbers thing for people, and it's like, well, look at all the statistics. I'm like, yeah, that's statistics. Those are the same statistics that tell you that you are unattractive. So, as a black woman, so I'm one of those people who's just like, look, at the end of the day, I see what I see. Okay, I see what I see, and what I see is that there is a full abundance of black men that do want us, but we may not always have the the spaces to meet each other,
Yep.
or the spaces to have deeper connections.
Yes.
And that's for everyone.
Period.
Dating is hard for everyone,
Yeah.
but it shows it's been exclusively hard for Black women.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like what's adding to that difficulty is passed on word that is not true, or I don't believe it's true. Like, I may be coming from a place of privilege on this topic, but at the end of the day, like, I'm not. I don't feel like. I just feel like there's somebody for everybody, and it doesn't. I don't have to have the same interest that you have. Like, I understand that people want to, deal with certain things a little bit differently in their life, and they don't want to have to do this. But I've seen, and this is for both people, Black men and Black women, but I've seen both types of people who date white people literally treat white people, or how they deal with people in general, is completely different than another Black person coming to talk to them. I've seen it. I've seen Black men perk up when they see what they call a snow bunny.
Yep.
And I've also seen Black women perk up when they see a Todd. Like, I've seen it, and I'm just like, you don't keep that same energy. You come in on both parts, okay? Like, Raheem and Keisha doing weird shit. Like, it's just like, dang, you kind of close yourself off to that. And I might not know what's going on, because trauma is very real, whether we acknowledge it or not. But the effects of it is a very real thing. And I'm just like, I get it. I definitely get it. But at the same time, it's just like, for me, I want to make a conscious effort to be with someone that I feel will best execute the vision that I have in my head. And the vision that I have in my head is not a wrong vision. And I think it's a beautiful vision. And some people may think it's a limited vision, but you may see it as a limited vision, where for me it's boundless. It's completely boundless. Like, you can have like a luxury and a fulfilling and fortifying and loving relationship with another Black person. And I'm one of those people who just believes that. And there's so much diversity in Blackness, and that's what we got to experience with the different types of women, is that there's just so much diversity. We went to HBCU. We know that there's not just one type of Black person. Period. There's too many different types of Black people out here. So for me, it's just like, I don't know, like, but I've dated white people. I've spent holidays with white people. I've went to school with white people. I've been in romantic relationships with white people, so I get it, and I see the allure. I promise you, I see the allure, because I'm just like, it seems like it's easier. It seems like it's one of those things romantically. It seems like it's easier, but you have to remember that systematically, a potential white person has had the freedom to be romantic with his people, has had the freedom to actually think about having a family. Yep. And think about those things, and been raised in a household that gives an example for those things. Yep. And compared to a Black male who may have certain examples in his life, that if he does have examples, it's come from a very trying place. Yep. A very trying place. Grandma had her husband, but also had to deal with her husband having to, if he didn't come home at night, that something bad was going to happen to him, not because he did something bad, but literally because of how he looked. And because he was able to provide for his family, because he wanted to provide for his family. Yep. Like, there is a freedom that white men tend to have of just being able to love. And to be able to share that with his family. And be able to do so and feel free to do so without his family or him being endangered. There is a freedom with that. And when we kind of come into that realization of just that, like, this is also a very systematic thing. I understand that race is a social construct and this and the other, and it's cool to think so, but it was constructed, y'all. Just because it's a construct doesn't mean that it's still. It was constructed, meaning there's a usage for it.
Yeah.
There's a usage for it. There's a systematic and generational usage for it. And like, it's baffling to me sometimes. Even for myself, I was just like, dang. For me, I can't know this and feel safe with someone who's benefiting so much from this. And then as a consolation prize, I'm like, what? I love you so much. And that's that possession thing that makes me feel weird when it comes to like men keeping accountable and stuff like that. Like that you have to be a sister, a friend, a wife, a mother in order for the perspective to be seen as this is a good, like you have to be convinced that this is associated with you. The reality is that like some white men are just benefiting. I've seen white men get immediate cool points for dating a black woman.
Yeah.
Immediate, but bring a Becky home. She gotta fight. Actually, she really gotta fight to show her worth and this and the other. Todd don't always gotta show his worth. He might do a little dance or something, or he might do a little like he might have a little bit of soul in him for him to be.
Little John B.
Right. And John B got to get no, sir. I need to actually know. Do you understand that systematically I am in danger of existing? I'm a problem. And even though you may not internalize it, and I understand people are like, well, this is suffrage, and I don't want to talk about all the trauma and this and the other. Yeah. And I'm just like, good, that's fine for you, but like, there's people who are really losing their lives because of this. And so it's not just like something I can like, put it under my rug and be like, well, it's not happening to me and this and the other. It's like, because the thing is, it's not happening to you yet. And I hate that we have to wait for something to happen to us for us to understand. But we see that with ASAP.
Yeah. We
see that with a lot of people, that sometimes things just need to happen for them to realize, and then they be like, okay, cool.
Yep.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Dang.
You know what I think a lot of it is, what I've gotten to about it, is what I've heard a lot of women and men say who have dated white, and specifically white. Nothing else but specifically white.
Right. And that was another thing.
Because for me, it seems like I've heard black women articulate this in a very specific way. And I think black men who, quote unquote, have to come to this defense of themselves and who they, quote unquote, have loved and so on and so forth, I think there is this dissonance that they believe, and I could get in trouble for saying this, but I believe this, and I would battle anybody on this stance, because there is this belief that I feel like they believe that they're taking this shortcut to healing from their own trauma and struggle of being living within their identity by associating themselves and associating themselves and open their hearts up to someone that doesn't look like them, because it's a lot more. I feel like they see loving someone that looks just like them as more weight added on to the journey. And I don't see it that way, but to me, just by the way that they move about it, because I've literally been around men that I could not understand. They've been single, and they usually only date white women. And when black women show interest in them, because these are still black men, still handsome, still doing things with themselves, they damn near like scatter. They damn near like quiver. But when they're around who they usually date, they have this. Their chest is big. They feeling themselves.
They peacock. They
peacocking.
They peacocking. Yeah.
And it blows my mind. Because for me, I haven't experienced interracial dating in terms of like black and white like that. I think for me, I do have this aura and this energy about myself that like that is like that like the really black guy. So I don't know if like if I go home with him, it may really be a journey. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's what I give off because I've never, or maybe I just, because I'm so drenched in like blackness within my own life story, I don't even pick up on the signals. I don't even see the
That's
green
true.
lights may be different. I don't even
That's
catch the
true.
same type of hints. But also, it also I had to sit there and look at myself and ask, well, maybe I don't want to catch the hints. Like maybe I don't genuinely care to. And then on top of
Look,
that,
sometimes I even have to fight the hint. I gotta fight the hint because all my friends always say, Aisha, I just knew you were gonna get married to a white dude. And I'm like, yo, like
people put that on
this
me.
is no, right? You feel me?
People
Like
put that on me all
come
the time.
on,
It was like you this conscious woke dude. You
you
always talking about black people and
I
this,
just
and
knew
y'all,
he was gonna go to Howard and this that, and the other. He was
yes,
just gonna be just so down, but he white.
you
And I
gonna
was just
end up
like,
with a white
yo,
woman, you know. And
damn.
I'm for me, I just, and when I sat there and I just asked myself one day, like, why haven't I ever dated someone white? Do I care to? And the women that I found attractive, I thought about why I thought they were attractive.
Interesting.
And the why led me to believe that I don't need to even think about this. I don't. If it happens, it happens. Because in all seriousness and like honesty, every quality they had reminded me of black women. So I'm like, I'm literally attracted to white women who remind me of black women.
Ooh,
way,
and that's that Kim Kardashian syndrome.
So it's like, how am I like? So if because for me, the only white women I've ever been attracted to in real life, like real people, it's a quality that they possess that makes me feel like, oh, okay, this could be possible. She don't even like I had to ask if she was white. Cause she had like she had that that olive skin bullshit, which I don't really understand what that means. Or her lips might be a little full.
Olives are green to me. So.
Olive's been green to me. You know what I'm saying? It's a white olive at the olive bar, but I thought that was special.
I
don't know what that means. I don't know, or she might have a full lip or a little curve. Or her hair might be a certain texture, but I'm from the South, so I don't know what Jewish women and Greek women look like. So I'm like, oh, these are all white women. And I'm looking at them this way because I'm literally trying to figure out and make it make sense for myself. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, if I was to like take this serious and shoot my shot and if successful or not, that is what I'm clinging to. I'm clinging that this is a woman and that it reminds me of this, she reminds me of that. And then on top of that, I can have conversations with her that are bounds and leaps away from my struggle as a black man. I don't have to come home and talk about Trayvon Martin. I don't have to come home. I can literally come home and she might not have ever seen it. It's a possibility that it's so out of her wheelhouse. Like she may be quote unquote is woke, because I don't give a damn what woke ass white person you have. They're gonna miss it. They're not. No one's that in tuned. And if they are, it took them a very long time to get to that point to where they are in the newsletter. They are coming to the meetings. You feel me? And where they understand like this is what people are caring about right now. This is what the kind
unless they have kids.
You said,
and then that's when it's able because it's
Yeah.
It's that when they have children, then that's when the interest of
blackness,
not even but black well-being is there, because sometimes you could be dating someone and this and the other and still not necessarily get it until you actually birth a black person. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, or a person who's biracial but will always be identified as black when they're separate from you. So that's when what I see to be a genuine, deep interest is. Like, that's when it comes. That's when I see it. That's when I'm like, oh, okay. But then it shouldn't always, once again, that's the thing. It shouldn't always take that situation for you to care, because at the end of the day, if you did not have kids and you was just comfortable, like if he just had kids and you was comfortable being a stepmom, you would still have a selective dissonance about the situation. That's the problem.
That's so real. That's so real. And I don't know. I thought that was very dope that you said that. I think that was the boldest shit in that whole thing, and it touched me because I'm like, that's deep. I ain't even come to that
they didn't expect it.
Yeah, because for me it's just simple as I remember somebody coming at me like just like what you said, they try to make you feel like it's something wrong with you almost.
Right.
But I remember telling someone, I was like, I haven't even as far as kissed a white woman. They was like, really? Never?
Right.
And I'm like,
Right.
no. And they was just like, but why? Like,
But why not?
what's the reason? Like, is there a reason? Or do you not just attract to them? What is it? And I'm just like, to be honest with
and you have to explain yourself. You have to have a good enough reason, a substantial reason for you not to participate.
But my reason honestly was one that they didn't want to go down the
They can't
road on.
fathom.
And this was in a mixed crowd of people. I literally said to him, I was like, culture matters to me. And I don't give a damn if you black too. Like if you're a black woman, and I gotta teach you so much about things that I ain't gonna say I believe you should know, but I believe that I grew up on, because I'm gonna have an amalgamation of so many different things. Like if you have any identity within southernness, within just any type of consciousness within terms of your history or affinity for your history, within just black culture, popular culture, it's certain things that I don't want to have to explain every single joke, every single reference, every single like thing. Like, oh, you haven't seen none of these movies, you haven't read none of these books or heard of none of these people. I have to literally catch you up on all of these things. I think that's a commonality that I'm not unique in the things that I'm attached to. These things existed before me, and I know there's millions of people who have a crossing of all these different, not even say identities, but experiences that I don't want to have to explain. That I want to have a connection through that culture and understanding through that culture, and for us to then have a higher level, a deeper, like to push past what we now know. We are on this extremely almost equal playing field in terms of just mindset and experience, and yours may be different in this way, so on and so forth, but for the most part we're moving together, and
the
I don't
core
have to catch
values
you up.
are the same.
Yeah, so I don't want to
true.
date Bethany, and for Bethany to come from this middle class family in the middle of the fucking Midwest, and for her to I've been to Atlanta, but I haven't like been to Atlanta. I don't want to have to explain what the fuck a HBCU is to her. But like I said, it's a culture with me no matter what the race is. So if it's a black woman that has lived in a specific bubble throughout her life, which there are plenty of people like that, I don't want to date her either. Like I don't want to go through the labor of sitting
and
here.
You gotta feel comfortable and confident to say that and not feel like, because
both of them are
really
seeking the same thing to me.
Right. We never got mad at people. Wasn't getting mad when John Mayer said he don't date black women. But look, at the end of the day, he knows they're beautiful and knows whatever, but he don't date them. But then he dates what he likes and whatever. And you didn't see white women be like, oh hell no. Like no, it's just or I don't know. I just feel like sometimes we kind of take too much into like, it's simple. Chemistry really works, and having a common interest, it does you better. It serves well to have. And opposition is always good too, but the level of opposition that I'm trying to have, I just feel like I would like a very minimized number, because this is a long-term situation. This is for longevity, and I want to be able to feel like I can grow with this person, and and you are always exchanging things, and like a relationship is a accumulation of exchanges. So you are exchanging things within yourself, and you're exchanging things within your partner. And it's just like, you got to remember that, like, everyone has a very interesting story. Like, I remember with me, even when I made a conscious decision to date black, that doesn't mean my job was easy. Okay? I now understood what most of my girlfriends were going through. And I was like, dang, I didn't really know like this. And it's easy to just think that, like, dating black requires a level of compassion. Black love requires compassion. It literally requires compassion. And I think that's another reason why a lot of black people are struggling to actually even let go of a Kanye. Mm-hmm. It's because we have such a huge capacity for compassion, which is sometimes a fault of ours.
Yes.
I'm never going to hold you.
Yes.
Because then we have situations where, we hug murderers, and we kind of we forgive so easily about things and that and the other, and that causes levels of trauma. Like, and I get it. Like, I get that we're gonna need things. I'm here to love with accountability. My Black love is saturated with accountability,
Mm-hmm.
with transparency,
Mm-hmm.
with compassion, with
Mm-hmm.
grace,
Yep.
because we need grace, but also with structure.
Mm-hmm.
And key foundational pieces for me when it comes to a Black love, couple, relationship, whatever you want to call it, is that we have to have a level of compatibility. And I think that's the word that some people are afraid to say. And even people in interracial relationships, it's not the reason that you like. If you say that's not why you like him because he's white, you just say it's true that we are just more compatible. And I can't nobody fault you on your compatibility with another person.
Period.
Like, you can't. I can't fight you on that. Like, I can't fight you on that. I can never fight you on that. I find myself to be more compatible with Black men. That's how I feel.
Yes.
I don't know. There's a comfort level.
Yes.
There's a comfort level, but it's also just an awareness for me too. Is just that, like, damn, there's a way I want to be protected, and I feel like you are able to protect me in such a way that, regardless of what happens, I know that you gave it your all.
Yeah.
You gave it your complete all, and that's, for me. I tend to see that more with the Black men I surround myself with. But I mean,
And
that goes for different places.
I did an episode called "Debunking Jungle Fever" years ago,
Check it out.
And I did that because it was a social experiment, but also I was inspired by a conversation I had with my ex, where it was I essentially just asked her, and I think she gave me one of the best answers to why there's this disdain for Black women's opinion about when black men date white women, and the way that they act. They said they're not. She was like, we're not upset. Like, you can be with whoever you want to be with. No one's upset with men being with whoever they want to be with. The energy that comes behind it is if they have won, as if they have won the fucking lotto, and this is who they've chosen. But 9 times out of 10, these men have done all of their dirt, done all of their growing, done all of their damaging of people to Black women, and have been sharpened into a better person and been pushed to this certain level. And this is who they've gotten themselves around, and this is who they're choosing as their trophy wife. And they're not really, then that growth somewhat stops. But I added to that, and the social experiment that I did was simply by going around asking my coworkers, how do they feel about, Black women's response when they're not really for this thing. And they immediately, what's crazy is, no matter who they were, man or woman, whatever their ethnicity was, they immediately got very dismissive. They was like, yeah, you know what? I don't get why they do that. Like, they need to let that go. That's love is love. Everyone should they should really get over that. They're not their men. It was very fucking interesting to me. And I'm like, damn, this was a unanimous fucking results where everybody dismissed what they're saying. So that means no one has ever asked them why. Ask them, what do you feel? Ask them, what do you see? Ask them what their stance is. That's why I did it. And I compiled and had the whole theme of it to be around all of these significant men throughout history who have gotten these, who have chosen white women, and the commonality to all of them when approached about who they decided to marry, they all have the same script. And that is my problem with Black men who do date outside their race, because when you're challenged on it, you immediately go to this script right here. I love Black women. I've dated Black women before. That's a part of the script.
Stammers.
I love all women. And then lastly, I love my wife. I don't get why people are like this. We're living in a new age. And the problem with that is that you should be aware enough to understand the ridiculousness of that question. You should immediately react in a sense of awareness where you're like, when have you ever asked George Lucas why his wife is black? Asked Robert De Niro why he dated this black woman? Why all these various white men have dated outside the race? Because you don't need an answer for that.
Oh, but they have answers, which is interesting. Right?
Yeah.
We have white men who say like we date black women because they're loyal, and they can build you up but these also same tropes of what a black woman can do and whatever is still on the basis of usage.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's the basis of labor.
Yes.
Okay.
And
we are constantly we gotta do something for you, like, and it's exhausting.
And all I'm gonna tell all the men who are listening to this, who just so happen to find themselves in an interracial relationship, and I'm not condemning you for it. But what I don't want you to do is to use that script I just said. What I do want you to do is to flip on these people and ask them, and literally just say, I fell in love with this woman. I love this woman. I had a connection with this woman. And take your words, I'm compatible with her.
I'm compatible with her. Like it
has nothing to do with race. If it really doesn't have anything to do with race, why make it about race? They've made you keep it on race. They've made you talk about that. And the fact that that's where you jump to means that you're defensive, means that this is something that you think about. You're projecting so many different feelings about this thing. Right.
And it's okay if you, but my thing is like, keep it $150
Keep
if
it
you can.
$1.
Like, it really is. It's just really just saying it. But my thing is, it's just like we also have to stop like reacting in such a way of this atrocity. Like, it's like, look, at the end of the day, like because that anger also kind of pushes a level of like scarcity mindset. I'm not angry at this black man, like, because sometimes I'm just like some of the black men that I see that do end up dating white women. I'm just like, you know what? Maybe you're right. We actually did not need you on our actual roster. We do not need you to check for us.
That's what I tell a lot of women.
You
I tell a lot
you
of
out here
women
doing Susie dead wrong, and I feel like I need to introduce her to my brother. Like, I'm not jealous of it. I'm not losing anything from it. I know that, but that's because I believe in abundance. So I just believe that the same way there was something for her to have, there's something for me to have, and it's more well fit for me. And like, they have to figure out how to build that and do whatever, because there are things that come with it. It is not an easy thing to be in an interracial relationship at all, because you got people hating you from so many sides, and then on top of that, you got to figure out how it is to evolve as your own self with someone who may not always understand what you got going on. And then on top of that, to add kids to it, it can be a challenge for them to figure out their level of ID and whatnot. Like, we have shows now, like, called Mixed-ish and whatever, but even then, like, the fact that this is a designated life that's going to happen for your kids. It's just a thing. And, and it's a conscious thing that, we think that the world is going to adapt to, but it still takes time for a lot of people to even accept certain things. Yeah. Like, and I'm just like, I don't want to add to it, but at the same time, I also want my kids to be black. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And my last soapbox thing, and we can move on, is stop for everybody who is biracial, whatever it is. Stop pushing and stop saying to people that you are an example of like this, that racism doesn't have to be a thing, and you like National Geographic says in a few decades we're all gonna look like me, and like
2050,
stop
right?
stop saying that shit there, because that shit is not going to solve a damn thing. That is not how
Right.
this shit works.
It's gonna
Biracial
confuse
people
a couple of people, and it's not.
biracial
It's
people have
not. It's not.
existed
It's not.
for
It's not
thousands of
confusion through
years.
ignorance. It's just confusion through classism. Like the
Yes.
reality is that like there are levels of like maneuvering and like upheaval that certain people get, and it's not a bad thing, but you're also suppressed. I won't say oppressed, I'll say suppressed, because there is a level of admittance that you may not always feel be able, like you can't always like be in it. Like maybe you can't always be black. You're not black enough for the black people. You're not white enough for the white folks,
Mm-hmm.
and you do have that melting pot of confusion and issues and whatnot. But these are also avoidable issues. Like these were
Yes.
avoidable issues, and it wasn't saying that this is a problem or whatever, but it was a potential avoidable issue that a conscious person, decided not to make, to think past it and to think past it. And I get that, but it doesn't mean that your life is going to be guaranteed. Uh, an easy one, because now like we all should be loving each other. No, like it's gonna be it's still a very difficult life that I don't think I want to put my kids through. It's just I don't want to put my kids through a level of at least identity on that end. I don't want them to do so. I don't want to have to put them through that. I want them to be able to see themselves in their parentals and really feel like that's something for them. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. It is interesting to see it.
It's
It is
interesting.
interesting to see.
Because it's a growing identity that I believe they see as damn near you cannot solve racism by creating a new racial group. Does not make sense.
Right.
You are creating a subset of a construct. So
Right.
you're only making it a deeper level of something that should not exist in the first place. This
Right.
is multiculturalism has been a thing since the beginning of time. And people have attached this thing to it, but the thing about it, the shit would not matter if it never existed. If quote unquote race, in terms of your skin tone and being separated within that, did not exist, the shit would not matter when people intermix.
Right.
At all. So there's no value in that, because you're wanting to claim the things and like that. You should not have to even do that type of gymnastics. You should not want to accept that type of labor either. But I also, in the same tone, in the same breath, also want you to be aware of what the fuck you living in, because yet again we're still living in the midst of these times. So don't opt out. You can't. So when it comes to you being a quote unquote person that is biracial and a multicultural, you can't be on one side or the other. Your existence is in the middle, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Be fine with
Yeah.
that. Find some solace in that you have this very unique experience, but don't see it as above or below. You're exactly there. You're in between.
Right.
Because that's the construct that is built, and so that is now the role that is being forced onto you to confuse the fuck out of your ass. But I digress. My last thing I want to go to, and I want to talk about, because I have to talk about it with you, and that is a stereotype that I feel like we see all the time in the just in the zeitgeist of the world, being that essentially men are flawed. Men have these issues. We dogs. We're promiscuous. We don't believe in so many different things. We can't emote. We can't express. We are damaged goods. We need to be trained. We need to. It's all these various things. Like, we literally come as a work in progress into relationships, and for whom we're with whomever we're with has to, focus in on a thing, or there's almost been this doctrination within society that that's what women kind of should do. It's kind of fix these men up. They don't know no better. They're just, cavemen damn near. So civilize them a little bit,
Struggle love.
Struggle love, you know what I'm saying? Love is, your man walking around the street with his drawers on, but that's cool. Go on a date with him. Give him a chance. But on the other flip side of that, I think because it being a patriarchal world and it being this thing where a lot of women are kind of, almost kind of like groomed to cater to men to a certain degree, and you have people who lean into that. You have people who definitely push back to that. And so there's this thing of like women have all these other traits. They have to like battle with all these different things. But the thing that I think is interesting is that men are this way and women are just okay, cool. And I've seen very interesting conversations happening on the internets about like, the whole kind of like men are trash thing, and we can't even say nothing about y'all because y'all gonna always try to flip it on us and be like, niggas ain't shit, but y'all be doing fucked up shit too. Y'all ain't gonna ever hold yourselves accountable and this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. So what I want to end this conversation with you with is about accountability overall, because I do believe there is some truth to all these things. I've experienced it firsthand that there is some truth to all these things. In terms of like, I have had friends who have, I believe, been stunt in their own developmental growth. And these are like my homegirls. They come to a realization that like who I'm choosing to be with isn't really helping me. I'm getting into relationships with people and giving so much of myself, and they may be coming out better. They may be understanding. They may have grown, but I really haven't gotten much but like kind of some of my time used and a little bit of my heart broken. And now here I am. And then when they meet someone who's at a level which they probably should have been with in the first place, they have this anxiety. They're damn near fearful because it's like he has his shit together. Is this? Is that? And now I'm with him and I'm uncomfortable. He wants to do this. He wants to do that. I don't know how to feel about it.
Right.
And I think that experience happens very often with men. And I think that's a similarity that I feel like we can try to find some commonalities, and we can find some type of support system in, is when we finally meet someone who is either our equal or our superior in certain qualities that they have. And I would love to know your takes on this observation, on this kind of, I guess, on this occurrence, I'll say, this phenomenon of men being actually flawed, perceived in this inflated flawedness, as if all of us are that way, which we all are to a certain degree. Yeah. But that's not all that we are. That's not all that we are. There are definitely people who have done some work or starting to do some work or starting to repair themselves or just want to be better. And then on the flip side, all women aren't just cool. All women aren't just trying to get themselves together.
Or loyal or just emotionally have sex. We have sex because we're emotionally involved. No,
yeah.
There's a couple of things. So I think one thing about stereotypes is that like there are levels of truth in stereotypes, but it's not the whole picture.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we lose sight that the whole picture is very important, because if not, you put yourself susceptible to a blind spot.
Yep.
And so like there's too often a blind spot in men. Especially with men, we once again, we already don't think that they're good. Yes. We're literally taught as girls to be somewhat afraid of men, to have a reservation of men. You don't want to be used by a man. You don't want, and if you're putting these seeds into women now, into girls, let's not just say women, but into girls, and then immediately they come into a young boy who likes her or this, whatever. We already have preconceived ideas of how this man is already going to treat her. But at the same time, but then at the same time, we sow the seed of doubt, but also sow the seed of fantasy that your prince is coming.
Yes.
And this person's going to treat you like this and the other. And so when we get to an age where we get to decide on who we want to be with, we tend to find out we tend to think that the guy who isn't bad enough isn't good enough, and the guy who's too good is too good to date. And so we are naturally trained to settle with that kind of math in our minds. And so, like, for me, like, this is me speaking, Aisha. Okay,
oh, yeah. I
can't speak on the behalf of other people or whatever, but I know from my own personal experience, I realized that I've always been complex in how I pursue people and how I allow other people to pursue me. And for me, I didn't get the social cues of this person's trying to talk to me. So I would need someone who had a little bit more bravado because it was clear that you're trying to talk to me. Right? So I can't, because I don't like guessing. I'm kind of bad at it. You know what I mean? You got two fingers behind your back. I'm just like, you got a hand. I don't know how to guess. I'm just saying, I just know you got something behind you. I don't really know what it is. I need someone who's a little bit more up front. And what I saw was that the people who were more up front were also, more experienced. And I had to kind of take that with it too, a part of it too. And I was just like, But then my taste changed. Now, when it comes to me dating, and when it comes to me like thinking about like how guys are or whatever, I have to take men on an individual basis.
Yes.
So I can't actually be like, because all these men did this, da 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 da. No, I really have to take people like person by person.
You have to.
So one thing I had to kind of adopt an abundance mindset, because if I did not adopt an abundance mindset, meaning that there's different types of men, and there's not only different types of men, but there's a man specifically for you. So I had to stop looking for certain things and whatever. Like before, if a girl had came to me and told me like, you probably shouldn't talk to this dude, this person, this and the other, there would be a time where I would just take it so much to heart that I did not give that person a chance to show me that they were messed up, and I would immediately cross them off my list because of what was told to me and whatever. And sometimes I don't want to, because sometimes sometimes women will be telling you stuff, for the safetyness of you. But then I also realize that women will tell you stuff because they don't want you to date them. They don't want you to be with him, because if you're with him, then the way he's treated other women in his past is going to look different. He's going to figure it out with you. And they don't want you to, like, I've seen that, I've experienced it, and I'm like, damn, I got caught up in it, and I got caught up in the opinion of other people. But I've also got caught up in the pedestal of men too, like men not allowing me to be a woman or be a human. Like, you're not allowed to be a human person who makes mistakes, or who doesn't always get the things, and who's like, for me, like, it got to a point where I was just like, dang, I'm able to connect with a lot of different types of people. And so fostering a very solid relationship and something that I feel like I can build on requires me to feel like I can be me.
Yeah.
And I say, in the previous podcast that we had together, I told you, like, there was places that I was around that literally did not require me to be myself. In fact, it was enforced that I wasn't myself.
And why would you be there?
And look, I'm trying to figure out why she was there in the first place. Okay, like, I'm just trying to where you at. Like, I'm trying to still figure out, like, why was I there? But the reality is that everyone wants to feel loved, and everyone craves it so much that
you betray your own.
You betray yourself, and you betray, the comfort level of your truest self to get a fraction of affection and love and attention.
Yep.
And I was just like, nah, I'm not that person. You know what's crazy now is that I purposely curse like a fucking sailor in front of you just to see what the hell you're going to treat me and how you're going to treat me. Because you think I'm smart and you think I'm this intellectual person who's above the... I'm going to curse in front of you because I want to see what you're talking about. Because in fact, you're not going to get a refined me until you get the raw.
Yeah.
You have to get the raw version of me because I am naturally refined at some point.
Oh, that's so real. Oh, that's so real. Damn, you said something. You can't get the. You say you can't get the refined me until you get the raw.
Until you get the raw.
I love
until
that.
You get the raw.
I love that, and I love that because I feel like I accidentally exercised what you just said, just because I'm not a believer in that. That whole thing, like, oh yeah, she do that to other dudes. Oh, she ain't gonna do that to me. I feel like that's a trope that you find a lot within relationships. Because if it's certain people who are violent or problematic, it's a chance they're gonna probably be problematic to you. But for me, in my experience, I think what I've noticed is that I've been the outlier to a lot of situations unintentionally. And I appreciate that, but I also think it has a lot to do with my the traits that I possess. I truly possess these very adaptable traits. I approach every person, as you just said, like from person to person. I don't bring in, this kind of like I thought it was interesting. My girlfriend now, I remember when we first started dating, she asked me, like, did you like ask people around like about me or something like that? And I'm like, no, because she knew I would know people who knew her, and I said no. I'm like, do I need to? Like, should I? You know what I'm saying? And it was a cute little joke, and I thought it was interesting. But I think for me, it was an epiphany almost, because I was like, I never do that. I never really cared to. Because I've never cared to. I've certainly dated people that people question, like, damn, you really into her? Or I can't believe that was the one that you really are committing to. Or I would have thought she would have been with someone else or whatever and what have you. But for me, I'm truly a person who, I'm not attracted to the same things that people just assume that I'm going to be attracted to. Like, if I'm a person who is, this very outgoing individual who puts out this certain personality, whatever, doesn't mean that I'm gonna immediately go for this woman who is like this it woman in the room, who just shining so bright, and it is what it is. I may not want to go with her. I might not want to even step to her with any type of energy. But I do think I have, me being that outlier, I do think that's something I've end up kind of like, because I think at least in therapy, what I've noticed is that my therapist has said that you was like, I think your gift of gab is you understanding and being able to recognize what makes someone open up to you and what makes someone continue conversation with you. That's a skill, like a skill that you have. So when you go into these places and you meet new people, the reason why people probably enjoy the first conversation with you is because you unconsciously recognize what lights them up. So if we're talking about random things and you're so attracted to knowledge and knowing random facts and knowing random things that it serves you now, That you have that little pocket of knowledge that no matter what people talk about, you can kind of you can throw something at them. You can continue the conversation, and once you see that that's what's going to get them, now you got them. And now they're going to open up a lot faster because it's like, oh, we have this commonality. You get me in the most random of ways. Like, you understand this, you get this, and I'm giving you me. I'm trying to give you the rawest form of me, and then I'm giving you this refined version. And I think, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting as fuck. It's interesting,
but
as
it's
fuck.
also it's the pro and cons of being charismatic.
Yeah,
because the reality is that you are able to foster these relationships with other people, and they believe that this is on a deep level.
Yeah.
But then, what is fortifying you is what is mainly in question, because people like us were able to talk to pretty damn near anybody.
Yeah.
We can figure out, we love small talk or big talk. Whatever you want to talk, we can talk. Like, that's fine and all, but then it becomes to the relationship aspect of, how does this fortify us now? How are we able to provide? How are they able to provide something for us that we may not get in anybody else? And that's the hard part, because it's just like, we have a common interest in a lot of things, but my genuine and most truest common interest, I tend to kind of, for me now, I tend to kind of keep that information limited in terms of telling all types of people. I don't tell everybody about the things that I love to do, because at the end of the day, people love to talk about themselves. So other people, I give people the opportunity, like, okay, this is what you like to do. I'm going to give you some common knowledge about what I know that you like to do. I'm going to continue to talk about those things. But then when it comes down to, well, Aisha, what do you like to do? What's your common interest? And then it's just like, dang, if I really tell you what's my common interest, will you still think the same thing about me? Would you still feel the same way? And it's just like, I had to literally get out of that mindset, because once again, if I don't say it, I find myself being compatible with someone who is a forced compatibility partner. Your forced compatibility partner, and I don't want a forced compatibility partner. I don't want you to think that we are bonding over the things that you think we have most in common with, when it's not actually something that we have anything in common with. It's performative.
Yes.
And
now
sometimes
that's it. That's a good word.
It's so performative, and it's just like, like, I only. Aisha, do you snitch on yourself now, or do you just, I had to hold myself. I was like, damn. But it's true, like, a good portion of my younger self dating, I don't have any brothers, and I come from immigrant parents. So the music that we were open to no one was listening to around my age at my school or whatever. So no one was listening to the music I was listening to. It wasn't until I started dating boys that I was even introduced to hip hop.
Damn.
Okay? I'm going to say what I said, and I'm going to continue to stay with my story, but follow along, right? So it wasn't until, and I mean, also grow up in New York, yes, you're going to be, introduced to hip-hop, but you're also going to be introduced to soca music, dance hall. Like, you're going to still get introduced to, like, more Caribbean music than just, like, straight-up hip-hop. If you were, that means you had another male in your house that listened to hip-hop. I did not. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't come from that. So it wasn't until I started dating guys, and guys would have interest in hip-hop, and I was like, oh, I don't know, and I don't know. And so I would have to look and do my research and actually dig up this information to build my recall of, like, what hip-hop, what different types of hip-hop, old school hip-hop, this, I know, where it comes from, where certain people come from, and, like, actually build that musical repertoire in my mind. And it wasn't, but once again, there was a level of performative of just, like, because you have such a huge interest in it, I need to know more about it. Whereas if they were asking me, like, what's your favorite music to talk about, I would just immediately to the next person, I'll just gain as much information as I can about that, and then the next person, I regurgitate that same information and create more topics about more controversial discussions about this and the other, because it was just like, I'm learning this, I'm learning this, I'm learning this, I'm learning this, so I can give you this, and this. But it never came to like, what do you actually like? And then when it did come to what you actually liked, it was such a visceral, like, aversion to it. I was just like, oh wow, this is when I can't even be myself. Like, it's better. It's easier. It's easier to be the dream girl of everyone else's versus actually getting my own dream person. And so but that it's like, it's toxicity out of fakery. Like, I don't want to. I don't want that. I don't want to. And as I get older, I'm grateful that I'm just like, I don't have time for it.
No.
Whether I like this now, I just have all this information about it. Not to say I don't value it, but I have all this information about all types of things that I just really don't. I don't care to keep on my head all the time. And I'm just like, man, look, like, I don't know. I used to be I just used to be embarrassed to talk about sports even, because I actually even though I didn't grow up with the music factor, my dad was a basketball nut. So we loved watching basketball. We loved watching actual sports. We loved it. You know, especially when you have a father that don't have any sons, and all he have back to back is girls. He's gonna make y'all as boyish as possible. So he's just like, we watching games but I used to be embarrassed to say that with guys or say that to guys, because one, I didn't think it was feminine enough, and two, I thought that if they did say it, they're gonna try to play me, and I can't tolerate being played. So I'm just gonna leave that out of discussion. You're just gonna find it when you're like asking me where I'm at, and I'm like, I'm at a bar watching a game, and then you're gonna be like, with who? And I'm like, by myself, because it's what I enjoy. This is how I like to spend my time. But I don't know. I just feel like there's certain things that men get like pushed on in titles of, you know, being some type of, you know, they're naturally evil. But then there's also just like, I've seen some women who just really be dogging dudes out, and and it's so. I had someone say that men don't cheat because they always get caught, but women know how to cheat. And I'm just like, I don't know. I think women do a little bit. It's just easier for them. There's a privilege of being a woman, is that like, no one's really going to dig deep into your situation, because there is a perceived idea of just like you're being, that it's emotional, and you wouldn't cheat, and if you cheat, then it's because you care about this person or whatever, not thinking that this person just might want different.
But there is an underlying arrogance, I believe, that goes
with whom?
From men to believe, like, I think, like, even myself, I think my underlying arrogance is that when I'm single and I'm approaching women, I don't give a fuck about you got a man or not. I was like that for a long time in my life.
It's terrible.
Because to me, it was about me and you. And I believe that arrogance also carries into relationships as well. Right. Where it's this energy of, I've never been with a woman and got energy of like, yeah, she would cheat on me. Yeah, she probably would. She probably is sneaky enough to
because you wouldn't date a girl that looked that way.
But it's not even look. I genuinely, I feel like and I think this is something I'm just, kind of coming to realization in this conversation, but I feel like I see it in other men as well. And that's, I genuinely don't believe somebody would, as if somebody wasn't like, as if I'm like
the audacity,
to cheat on me type shit. Like, I think, and I don't think that's a good thing. But I do believe
men will get their feelings, bro.
But yeah, exactly. But I feel like that is why I think that is the energy that a lot of men are, but also the validation that comes within that is what they see in popular culture and what they see amongst other people. So you have men who can be, habitual, adulterers and cheaters, married or not. And that person, that partner who's being cheated on, never decides to ever step out. That's never even in their thoughts. And I think
Look,
and if it is in their thoughts, it stays there. They never act on it.
That's a touchy situation because I'm telling you, like, I've seen it too often. I've just seen like this idea that guys cheat down, but women cheat up.
Yeah.
So you don't want to see the guy. You don't want to talk to the guy. You don't want to be around the guy that she passed up for you to date.
Exactly. But
you don't want to see that dude.
Exactly. But
that dude, because she keep that and she don't talk about that dude. That's the worst. She would never give you details about. She will always give you details about the one before him.
Yes.
But
yes.
she would never give the details about the one because why? Because if you fuck up, that is the first person she's going.
That's the first person she calling.
That's the first. That's the first person she's rekindling. I'm telling you.
But I think that's where the balance comes in.
That's on gang.
Yeah.
Like, that's on gang.
That's gang.
And it's terrible. It's terrible.
It is. But I feel like that's the compartmentalization that I think women don't give themselves credit for. I think women compartmentalize very well. I think they just don't think they're doing it all the time. Because I feel like men are the spokespeople for compartmentalization in terms of feeling that we can't, like a lot of men feel that we can just, we just fucking. It ain't like, it's just physical with us. It's an ego thing. We ain't trying to just cheat for emotions.
But y'all be the one catching real feelings.
Maybe, and that's the thing.
Real feelings for the chick and that's the scary part. Y'all staying in a relationship that you know is not gonna make you happy or this any other, but you are in love with your supposed side chick.
Yes.
And the thing is like you wish you could have that freedom to do it. And that's a cowardness on both ends. Like just be with one you're supposed to be with or you feel like you want to be with.
Yes.
But the thing is be with the one that we can be with, not the one that we want to be with.
Yes.
And that's the problem.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be. I think I had to run out of that. Like I told you, I left one of the most healthiest relationships I've ever been in. Because I knew that I wasn't always going to be happy with this man.
Damn.
Every day, forever.
Mm-hmm.
He's good, he's great, he's awesome, he's this and the other. This is nice and this and, but I feel like I will be doing a disservice to this man who deserves to be loved completely and holistically. If I stay with this man, he will make the longest mistake of his life.
Damn.
Because we'll be together. We will be together. We will have a lot of kids. We'll do well. We can both be successful. We can build this power couple situation, but you will still be settling because I'm settling right now for just this. And it was terrible. It was terrible. Like, who breaks up holding hands? like this is a genuine love and just like a genuine consideration. I'm just like, I'm so grateful that I met you because you raised the bar.
Yeah.
You raised the bar. But it just wasn't, it didn't hit for me. And I know like people like, oh, well, you know what, that's a good black man that you just kind of I always get that, right? Like I always get this like, oh, you gotta be careful because you always say the good black man, but then after they date you, they got reservations. I'm just like, it's not my fault. I promise. It's just there's a thing that I'm looking for, and I know that it exists, but I have to be truthful to myself, and that's the only way I'm going to be able to get it. And if I continue to kind of just like hold in and like, okay, this is not whatever, because the thing is, I could have dated him and I could have kept dating him, could have kept it, and I could have seen him deteriorate because of the fact that I might not be someone that. He's so used to pleasing people. He's so used to being the mark for people. And I'm just like, no, it's not that. It's not even that. It's just I really want I really want you. I want me to be happy, but I know that I'll be doing a complete disservice to you if you are not with someone who I know is going to fully not only just appreciate it, but be able to do something with it other than utilize it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't want. I don't want that. I want something tangible and real that can be built and whatever. And I don't care if it looks like, everyone else's. I don't really. Sometimes I don't really want it to look like anybody else's. I want it to look like my own.
That's real.
And I think it was so easy to get into that. Oh, we look good together. We could easily build things, and it's like, oh, okay, look, you doing this, And it looks like it was on paper, everything that, okay, this is going to be great. But then at the same time, I'm just like, sometimes you got to go with that gut. And your gut feeling is so hard because complacency can nullify and silence your gut. The little boxes can you can get addicted to just the appearance of how everybody else's stuff looks. And then you just like, well, okay, this is the next step, I guess. I'm turning 26, I'm turning 27, I'm turning 28, I'm turning 29, I'm almost 30. And this is the perfect specimen of a husband. He looks like he would be a good husband. But just because he looks like he's a good husband doesn't mean that he's your husband. Like, exactly. and that sometimes we as women kind of like we mess up there. We mess up there because we're looking for a husband, and it's first of all, your husband's supposed to find you, and the vibrancy of how you are showing up in the world is by what you do naturally. But we're manufacture our feelings sometimes. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want us to just look cute. I don't want us to just look cute because I know that that's not going to last forever. It's just not. Like, I don't know. We have some level. We just have a toxic way of loving each other, both men and women. But sometimes with women, it's idealized idea that we become a little bit entitled. Like, I never got to have that comfort feeling of having thinking that a man was going to provide for me. I think it's a beautiful thing if you can, you feel me? But I just never had that freedom to have that thought because I was an opinionated girl.
Yeah.
So being an opinionated girl, you immediately stamped with, I don't know who's gonna marry you, girl. So you might just have to provide for yourself. You might just actually need a trade or something. You're gonna need to be able to provide for yourself because you are opinionated. You got a lot of you talk too much. So you might not find a man. And if you're not going to find a man, then, whatever. And I used to have this, like, weird disdain for guys who actually wanted to provide for me. It's just like, why? What you want to provide for me for? Because I'm not going to be quiet. I hope you don't think that because you're providing for me that now my mouth is going to be shut. And I'm not going to be able to say how I feel about certain things because I will happily leave you, get my cute little apartment, spend my little mad money, and do those things just because you didn't decide to respect yourself by respecting me. Yeah. So, but I ain't trying to be all that harsh because I'm a sap too. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like we just have toxic ways of loving each other as a whole.
I agree.
We just do.
And I think you spoke so much to accountability because I do believe that so many people, it's hard for them to be honest with themselves in terms of that. Like, be honest that they truly are settling in moments, truly are co-opting things chosen for them that they believe to be predisposed and haven't even thought, is this really what you want or not? And because it's a feeling of you thinking about how everyone else would think about this if you don't set this certain expectation that society says that you should set. I remember just pushing back in certain conversations that I've had in past relationships, just about just traditionalism and certain things happen in a certain way, and it's like I'm not the guy who's gonna come at you and tell you that I don't believe in labels and all these different things, but I'm also not gonna tell you this is how it has to go. This is how this has to be, because we're not like, me and you are no one else, and I don't want to sit here and be on this roadmap for something that I don't even know. You want me to truly set up this thing that I don't even know? Because what I am going to do in the now is be fully committed to you. And my actions are going to follow those certain things. And I think what I learned within myself is that I genuinely don't think it's natural for me to perform certain things to be performative in that way. I think I'm very organic in terms of like my affection. And I also, like I said, I'm still have that adaptable trait. So if I see certain things, or if you react to certain things, I'm going to do certain things. I think that's my way of trying to figure out a way to, to compromise and please you in some way, shape, or form. And I'm still learning on how that should be, monitored and managed, because that is a part of my personality. But I think we live in this age now, like you said, where we are bringing in toxic traits that we're just either opting into or just accepting into our lives to be just written in stone. And I just don't believe that that's how we should really fucking move. And we should really
it's a disservice to actually getting what we want and quicker.
Yeah.
Because we actually we waste time not stating what we actually want. Mm-hmm. We waste time, but we have to remember, like, even as a male, there's a male privilege of being able to say what you want and say what you don't want, and it be considered.
Yes.
Actually be considered.
Yes.
And with us, like with women, it's like we can say what we want and we can say what we do want, and it really kicks us in the foot, and it really puts us in a predicament. And that's almost like, look, when someone like another male affirms us, it's not saying that we need the affirmation of a male to get what we want, but when another male does affirm what we say and say, like, okay, yes, like, even like it can get weird down to ordering something that we want from the bar. And if we say we want this, and then someone will try to convince us of getting a different meal or a different drink, and then it's just like, no, I want this. Don't look at me crazy, because if a male orders, I want a Long Island iced tea, no sour mix, no Coke, and they said, that's all liquor. If a man says it, he's gonna get that. But if a woman says it, it's like, do you know that? It doesn't. That doesn't have any. It's gonna be straight liquor. You sure you're okay with? Look, I said it right. That's because that's what I want.
That's a real.
And then some man can come and get the woman what she asked for. Then that's when people hear you. What? Yeah. No, like, I want what I want, and I'd rather be able to be open about it and whatnot. Guys have to affirm sometimes guys have to be the person that shows up to affirm women. Sometimes women have to be that those safe spaces for men to affirm things too. Like, when a man is sad or when he wants to feel and whatever, and we down him for being down and upset, that's problematic, because then you're not allowing him to have that freedom to express all of his emotions. Yeah. And I don't know, we just have to start affirming each other as humans to be human. Yes. It's just important, but it's also like, it is a construct, but it's a reason why it was constructed. There's a reason why there's a male construct and there's a female construct, and these things that we attach itself to. And I'm like, y'all, we are a combination of all these things when you really look at it. But we have to actually learn how to affirm ourselves as a human being. We are not susceptible to, like we are actually programmed to mess up. Yeah. So, like, when we don't allow each other to mess up, and then which even goes back to Kanye, like, at the end of the day, like, we have to allow people to be human and have human error, and let them do what they do. But we also have to keep people accountable at the same time. So I'm not gonna allow you to, infect me because of your own, like, journey. Like, you can have your journey and have it be there, over there, and let it be over there. Like, just don't make sure it doesn't affect the pool. But when we put so many people in high regards and we put these people in pedestals, even when we put our friends in pedestals and ourselves in pedestals, like, well, he's my homie, so I'm not gonna really check him like that because it's not my place to check him. If it's not your place as your homie to check your brother, then when can you ever check him?
Aisha,
And then,
look now. You're on to something. You're tapping into a whole nother episode right there, girl. Because I have certainly tweeted multiple times that that I am tired. I am tired of that's beyond me. That's that man
look,
business. I ain't got no words.
look,
It ain't none of my business. Look, at this point, but at the same time, we can have every man should, not even has. Every man should have a opinion about specific things. Every man
right.
should react to specific things, and I hate that. I push back to that all the damn time, and people look at me like I'm crazy. Like, damn, you really got something to say about that? I'm like, yes. This is not cool.
Yeah, y'all not gonna say that, but I'm telling you, hatred can come in silence, y'all.
Yeah.
Hatred can come in silence. I promise you. There's people who will let you walk miles and miles and miles with tissue on your shoe, and they will not say a goddamn thing because they don't like your ass.
Yeah.
They don't like you. Why would they help you? Why would they open their mouth to say anything of support or kindness or just realness to you? Yeah. Why? They have no stake in your progression. They have no stake in you being well and good and this and the other. So why? But my thing is the same thing with another female. Like, look, with another woman. Is that, like, look, sis. And that's why I kind of love the word sis, and some people feel some type of way, but, like, sis, I'm not here to hurt you. Like, I'm not your enemy. I'm not this or the other. But at the end of the day, like,
and that's in
I'm
relationships
gonna
too.
put you on.
I think that's in relationships too. Like, I've often had to remind my girlfriend right now, like, when I say something to you about something you're doing to me, I'm not saying it coming from a place of adversary. I'm not your enemy because I'm critiquing or giving you criticism or telling you about something I'm noticing or telling you about something that is an expectation that I may be expressing.
Right.
I'm not telling you this because I'm trying to defame your character or do anything. I don't believe you really want to do this to me. I don't believe that's all of what you are. And if this is what you are, and this is what you want to do, this is how you move, this is the floor for us to talk about the thing.
Yeah, I need to understand it.
I need to understand if this is how it's going to be. I need to understand
but people don't
if this
listen
is what
to
it
understand.
is. But I think, I've seen so often with men and women when a grievance is expressed, they take it in this defensive tone because what leaves their mind is usually that this person is against me being me or something of me, not that this is coming from someone who loves you, someone who cares. If I did not care, if I didn't give a damn, if it doesn't matter, I'm gonna still do me at the end of the day recklessly, then it doesn't. I don't care what opinion you really have of me.
Right.
I don't
and
care
that's scary.
And I don't care to tell you about what you've done to me because it doesn't matter. And I think people don't realize it. They don't notice that. People see the silence of relationships. They see the person who is very quiet and doesn't really have opinions on much as that being something that Okay, yeah, we're really good because we like never argue and we never have to discuss these things, or we're never combative about certain things. We're never on some contrary about anything, and it's like, okay, somebody may not be being all the way honest about certain things. No one is a perfect puzzle piece in that way. There's certain
Right.
you have different experiences than I do as well. And it's
Right.
nothing, and it's and to me, I think that's a sign that the representative may be around a little too damn long.
Who?
And the representative,
Oh,
you may have to like acknowledge to be in the room. And I think a lot of people have gotten very used to performing in that way, to
yeah.
allowing the representative to stay around past that dating phase, and they
But it's a
haven't.
protection. It's
It
a it's a
is,
it's a seemed it's a perceived protection
yeah,
when someone does this. Like the chameleon changes colors and performs to change a different color to protect itself.
yes,
And so it is when you said a prolonged representative, like when we have this representative and it takes place of our actual face or our actual being, that's when it becomes toxic and it becomes a problem, because now this person will not only this person, but you don't get to fully express who you are. And when we try to, like, coping mechanisms are literally meant to work for like it's meant to be a temporary thing. So repression of self-identity is meant for a temporary situation. That's why the relationship won't last. That's why there is a problem. And some people, some relationships really do end because the other person just got tired of pretending.
yes.
They just
Period.
got tired. They got exhausted with it, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just like, "Look, I can't pretend no more. Like, I'm
I can't.
done. Like,
I can't.
I'm
And I
exasperated.
do think
I can't. I can't do it.
that goes into
Why? For
settling and
what?
every.
For
I think
what?
that goes into settling and everything too. I think I can only imagine the enormous number of women, and I mean, I feel like men. I feel like a lot. We see it a lot more in with men in terms of like coming to realize the life that you did not plan to have or did not want, but you said you believe this is the life that you were supposed to have.
You're
It's
trained
so
to
many.
think this is the life that you're
You're
supposed to have.
trained to think that, but I can
You're
only
trained.
imagine how many women are sitting here miserable as hell. How many of our grandmothers who, and once they had to get to 80 years old to realize, I really did not want to have no fucking kids.
I did not. I didn't want to have no kids, but I damn sure didn't want to have kids with this man.
I didn't want
And
to have
like,
kids with this man, or better yet, I didn't want to. I may not even want to be with this man, men in
man,
general.
in general, okay,
And
like it's
I've suppressed and repressed and kept these feelings down because of the age and generation I grew up in. And then you have other examples of folks who still to this day have been married for however long, and they're just getting by. They're just like I think it's not a accident why so many people can talk about how their grandparents are just so like just living. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
right.
I was like that don't make sense to me. Like I was like, I haven't yet lived the amount of years they've lived, but I do believe there's a level of growing into each other and growing with each other that to me, because life will get easier in certain aspects. To me, I think that would be a part of life that will get easier as well.
Nope.
Like I'm with you, and I've been with you for decades and decades. We've created a family, and they've had families, and so on and so forth. And now we're in our like golden years, and I can't stand to look at you.
I can't. In fact, I'm mad every time I do look at you. Like there's this unhappiness being and once again, unhappiness is being built and grown and festered and whatever
Yeah.
because of your inability to be true to thyself.
Yes. And
And
I
and
just
but and that's scary though, because we literally as humans have to give other humans like like a safe space to be themselves, because if not, like, two fake people can't continue to be together. One fake person and a real person can't be together. It takes, it takes two real people to kind of just make that decision to say, like, this is what I truly want, and actually exchange it and say it and be comfortable with it. And that's self-care. When you're true to yourself, it is self-care, because can't nobody fault you. Can't
Exactly.
nobody fault you when you are being true to yourself and true to your nature. And the reality is that, yes, we even get mad. Like, this might be a bad example, but we really can't fault Trump for being Trump. He's exactly who he said he was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
He's exactly what he says he was. Like, this is man is exact, and the thing is, when we don't, because we allowed the representative, because at some point in time we don't talk about how Trump was like literally every rapper's friend at some point in time. Like, he was literally, he was hanging out with the rappers, he was hanging out with Russell Simmons, hanging out with a whole bunch of people and whatever, but we prolonged the representative and the belief of that representative that he allowed, instead of actually seeing the full picture. Like, we have to allow ourselves to see the full picture, because sometimes we can't. It's not that the person's not trying to show us what it is. It's just that we're just not trying to believe them, and that's the problem. Like, my problem is not coming in contact with people who are not showing me who they are. My problem is that when they show me who they are, I do not believe them, and I don't allow them to actually be like. Once again, we are seeing Kanye show us that he is a shifty ass person. Like, he keeps showing us, but what we say focuses on is what he shifts into. But we are not taking into account that he's a shifter. So whatever, but we're just waiting for the mold that we're most comfortable with, and for now, this is the most that we're comfortable with right now. His current form is what. But when he decides to take that religious and make it sacrilegious, and now he gave us Antichrist. He was literally this man was literally calling himself Jesus at some point.
Years ago, not even that long
Yes,
ago.
and now, but now it's a little bit different. So it's like, okay, I took myself from that mindset, and now I'm glorifying Jesus instead, because that's a better look. That's
It's a, and
it's
that's
a
hella
better
stretch to
look,
go
better
God
feel.
complex to I'm a servant now.
I'm a servant
It's a
now.
very interesting
Shifty,
road to take in your journey. It
so
is. It
shifty.
is. It is.
It's shifty as hell.
But okay. So we can wrap it up. I want you to just give one last cool, short, parting words to wrap up how you feel about, I guess, just this overall message of accountability, overall message that you kind of feel in your heart about how people have moved throughout relationships in this current time that we're in. You've said so much, and I appreciate everything that you said. There's so many sound bites. I don't know what clip I'm gonna make of this damn whole episode at this point. I'm sitting there and thought, like, I don't know. I can just write down timestamps, but I'm kind of into this, so I'm not paying attention to the time. I'm just talking. But before you go, I want you to send it off and send us on, and talk up and give one more tidbit or solution or tip to the people in terms of their, not even if it's about love, it's about self-love. It could be about whatever you feel in terms of all of that we've spoken to, because I feel like it's been a lot of things, but more than anything, I think it's been about awareness and accountability. So
awareness, yeah. I mean, I guess a big thing that I'm even getting from this is to thyself be true and remain true. Like, the reality is that we come into this world alone sometimes, but with people. And independence is not the final step. To be independent is a great step to get to, and not a lot of people actually get to that step. But once you get to the level of independence, you must now challenge it to see how strong it is. And the only way to challenge it is by working with other independent people and not being swayed by it, but being motivated by the result that is going to better everyone. And the reality is that I find myself just getting deeper and deeper into my independence, that I do want to challenge it. I am challenging right now by being an independent person and have a conversation with another independent person and figuring out how can we better the state of conversation? How can we enhance the state of, we are having two different types of conversations, but how does that work together? And it strengthens us as an independent person. So right now, I implore to everyone who even took time to listen to really, truly dig deep and figure out the best way for you to work with others and also to strengthen who you are. Your representative can also be you. Like, you can be your representative. You don't have to represent a different thing or an entity. You can be your representative, and the reality is that you are your representative. You actually are that. So whatever you decide to showcase and whatever you decide to expose, make sure that it is you, because then when people figure out who you are, they're not saying, anything but the truth, which is who you represented. And hopefully it is the truth. Hopefully you are representing your truth. Like, I got a lot that I'm growing on. I'm not perfect. I'm not, and I haven't met a perfect person yet. I just know that people are susceptible to failure, and they're susceptible to have their mind be changed and things be different. And I just really implore for you to just be, like, as cheesy as this may sound, but literally be yourself, because that's how you're going to get quicker to love. You want to find love, then be yourself. And if you feel like there's a better version of yourself that's out there, strive to be that version of yourself. But understand that, like, don't just put out the good, because then you're gonna find that people are attracted to only the good in you. And just be able to be all of you. Find someone who makes you feel comfortable to be all of you, because we gotta actually stop downplaying the people that make us feel comfortable to be ourselves. We gotta stop putting them people in positions of just only being your friend. That is the person you're supposed to marry. That's the person that you're supposed to be, like, that not, I can't say supposed to, but that you have a higher chance of survival with being with someone that makes you feel completely comfortable being yourself. Yep. And that's all facets of the word, like, of comfort.
Yes.
Find that person, find that person and appreciate that person and love on that person, and also be a safe space for that person too. Because some people be just being with those people and they'll just use up that space, but not even provide that same space for that person to be themselves. And so reciprocation is always a key factor. But that's all I got to give y'all, little kids. I'm sorry, I'm still learning.
Yes,
I'm still learning.
I love I love everything you just said, and I appreciate you.
Yeah,
I appreciate you. I
you
want you to tell everyone how they can follow you, how they can support you, how they can continue to keep up with you in anything that you do.
Yes. Okay. Cool beans. So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at She Knew Nothing, SHEKNEWNOTHING. And look out for a new project. Please, andpower.vision, ANDPOWER.VISION. And this is the And Power Vision is just to kind of motivate people to think past or. You don't have to pick between or. You can truly pick and just figure out a plan to do so. And that's mainly where I'm going to do a lot of my astrology readings and allow people to figure out how to work with their natal chart so they can actually get the life that they want. okay,
I
because
just
the
learned. I just
Virgo
learned.
trying to help y'all folks.
Yeah, I just learned.
Trying to help y'all folks.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I really do appreciate you. I think this conversation is definitely going to be one of those thinkers that people play back and really tap into and catch the gems when they catch them and go back to. And I appreciate you. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
It's always good. It's always good talking to you as well. But for everyone listening, make sure you follow Aisha Oduola-Owoo everywhere, and make sure you support her and everything that she does. If you appreciate you all for listening, and you can listen everywhere podcasts are available. You can follow me at Kings_Memoirs, and also follow the page at Simply King Pod. I love all the people who've been supporting for years and years. Or if you're just now listening, jumping in right now, hey, how you doing? Hope you stick around. But this is the Soulfully Conscious Podcast for humans simply being humans. I'm Rodney Perry, and this is Simply King. Peace.
But you felt me as a lover. It's alright.